Well, welcome everybody to this week's episode of Bando Club. We have the great pleasure today of welcoming Stine Engel. Stine, can you please tell us what you've just played?
Yes, Chiquilin de Bakhtin by Astor Piazzolla, and the arrangement was of Victor Lavachenne.
Victor Lavachenne. It's an amazing arrangement. It sounded fantastic. Why have you chosen this today?
I chose it because I love it. I heard once one of his students playing it, and afterwards I looked up his version, and then when I was studying with him, I asked him for the piece, and he gave it to us very generously. And,
he's a very generous musician, Victor.
Yeah, but I think it's really, you can feel also it's been made by someone who knows a lot about the bandoneon.
I don't think there's lots of people who know as much as Victor, but I don't think anyone knows more than Victor about the bandoneon. So how did you come to meet Victor? Tell us a bit about.
In la escuela de Emilio Valcarce, la orquesta escuela, yeah.
Right, you passed through the Valcarce about 2 or 3 versions ago.
Yeah, I started in 2017.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're not from Argentina.
No.
Where are you from?
Denmark.
Denmark. How did you come to find the bandoneon and find tango?
I found it here.
Okay.
Yeah, I came as a student of anthropology.
An anthropology student?
Yeah.
Wonderful.
And I stayed in San Telmo, and I had a teacher who took us to all the milongas and...
Immersive anthropology.
Yeah, it was just like, this is fantastic. So much folklore, there's so many passionate young people playing tango. Afterwards, I found the school, Orlando Goni. And at first it was like an interest, like a scientific interest, but very... fast it turned into be more like, I don't want to write about this, I want to be part.
And so had you played music before you grabbed the bandoneon?
Yeah, as a child I had a lot of lessons in music, like a lot of different instruments. I sang a lot and such, and learned how to read music, which is quite a advantage when you go for the bandoneon, to have a bit of an idea before.
Makes the learning curve just a little bit less steep.
Yes, but I was not a very studious. I wasn't very
dedicated.
Maybe, to the studies. I loved music, but I wasn't practicing so much.
Okay, and so what was it like? Did you have a day where you woke up and you said, I can't live without doing this? Or how was it that you...
No, it started up with me being this student of anthropology and having to apply this method of participated observation. Right?
Okay.
So I was observing and I wanted to participate with the bandoneon. No? So I tried to find a bandoneon. No one wanted to give me,
to lend you a bandoneon.
Yeah, lend me a bandoneon.
Fair enough.
And,
it's quite hard to get hold of a bandoneon.
Yeah, and they're very expensive. So I decided on buying one from La Casa del Bandoneon. I went one day, and it turned out to be a very nice man who has been my friend ever since. And he found like a cheap bandoneon that I could buy.
How much is a cheap bandoneon?
Yeah, at that point I think it was 10,000 crowns, which is like $1,500.
That is actually a pretty cheap bandoneon.
And it had like the paintings of aluminium.
Okay, for those who don't know, lots of the kind of bandoneons that are designed for study rather than for sort of professional use often have aluminium reeds instead of zinc reeds.
It makes it a lot lighter.
The sound's maybe a little bit thinner as well.
Yeah, it doesn't have the same sound. And also the thing that it being light is kind of, it makes you play a little differently.
I've never actually played one. So.
No. I played it for 3 years and something. I loved it, and I didn't want to change. When you learn to play at some instrument, it's sometimes difficult to change. But when I got this one, it changed a lot. So I would recommend students of bandoneon to try with maybe a cheap one, but fastly move on to a good instrument, because that will condition how you learn. No?
Yeah. And so then at some point, obviously, you decided that you weren't going to go back to Denmark?
Yeah. I got the bandoneon pretty late for the studies. Like the studies had ended, and I had to take the bandoneon with me to Denmark and start to try a little bit. And then I just really liked it. found it beautiful as an object, like magic, right? You know, this box and the sound is just amazing. And,
did you have it? Did you find a teacher in Denmark? How did you go about learning?
I found a girl who had played for 2 years.
Okay, 2 years more than
that
you.
was like an expert compared to me, right? And she had played the accordion, so she had like pretty much an idea and played tango for a while as well. So she didn't want to teach me, but she wanted to get together and show me stuff.
A very similar thing happened to me. I had a friend who had about 6 months head start on me. It was better than nothing, and we worked together until we could come back here. And then you, obviously, at some point, you came back to Argentina. Are you sort of living here?
I came back with no return ticket, and let's see
until you get sick of it.
I got stuck.
And what are you doing at the moment musically? Like where are you at?
I'm playing in different groups. Like my project for the whole time almost being here has been Andariega, Orquesta Típica Andariega. Right now we are playing in a quartet. We are trying some new stuff with some technology.
Cool.
Interventions and such, and I'm in another quartet as well, and
mostly tango.
Mostly tango, but I'm also in a project now with some folklore, and I sing a little bit as well. Yeah.
Oh, wonderful! Fantastic.
Maybe we'll just stay in the home where we are rehearsing, but maybe we will take it out.
Wonderful.
To the scene at some point. And I have a project. I'm also like getting a little bit more into arranging and
I think it kind of comes a bit with the territory of being a bandoneonist, because at some point you get really tired of getting poorly made parts and you go, I could do a better job of this. And then but also it's very, I think it's nice because it's a young instrument. It's nice to be involved in making new material for people, to be part of the wave of bandoneonists making music.
Yeah, definitely. And also I think for me it's also, it's like I've always wanted to create something like more like from the more creative part of the music, but you know, when you start with the bandoneon you have to give it some hours to make it run, right?
And are you still involved in the anthropology in any way, or have you kind of moved on to?
I think I'm living the anthropological dream. I went native completely. I do speak Spanish as well, but no, I don't know. I think it's something. I've always thought it more like a magic capa.
Like a cloak.
Yeah, something that you put on. Like once you understood what anthropology is about, like, it's like you see the world in a different way. You start to look at cultures and elements and how new cultures happens and all that stuff, and also being like there's a lot of respect, right, in this tradition, like always trying to help people. It's like the anthropology once in some way it started with the white man wanting to explore the world, but later on it became more like a tool to help the countries with money to help the countries with not so much money, right?
Okay.
to build stuff like that. And in the beginning it was just like all very badly done because they just thought they could put like Denmark inside Somalia, right?
Right.
But later on it started to be a bit more conscious about how can we really help people, not only on our own terms, but on
how they need to be, or
trying to understand what they need for real,
for them,
not only what we think.
Yeah.
And in some point, I think that is something that you take with you once you studied it. Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for coming.
You're welcome.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel on all of the social networks. We have Instagram, we have a Twitter, we have a Facebook. And if you'd like to help support the work that we're doing here and help support the channel, we have a Patreon where you can support us. And for people in Argentina, we also have a cafecito. Thank you so much, Steini. And ciao, ciao.
Thank you very much.